Public relations and editorial creates content that allows us to be more trustworthy. And there's no one I know of that does that better than Christina Daves of PR for Anyone. Now, let me tell you about Christina. She is an author, she's a speaker, she's someone who practices what she preaches, and she was the closing keynote at the Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit's inaugural summit in 2023. And she's coming back for 2024 to talk to us about PR and editorial. She also did a webinar on PR and editorial using, get this, Chat GPT. That was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. If you haven't seen it, please do what you can to go see that, and we certainly will be re-airing that again. So this year, Christina, let's talk about kind of where are we going with PR and editorial as it relates to supply chain marketing in 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, and I've always said post-COVID, and I said this at the summit too, nobody knew anything about supply chain until we couldn't get our toilet paper. And that's right. And that just elevated. It's like, what is this supply chain thing exactly? What does this mean? But now it's a common phrase in our vernacular. So there's such a great opportunity for anyone in the supply chain space to be in the media, to be the expert in their part of supply chain, whether it's robotics, logistics, trucking, whatever that is. There's so much opportunity for people in the supply chain space to be quoted in interviews and be seen in the media.
So let me put it in our vernacular. Before, we could almost say it was hard because people didn't know who we were. And if I was going to impress my professors, I would say we were in a recondite world, right? So unless you're in our world, you really didn't understand our world. What you're saying now is that barrier has been removed. And now people are actually seeking us out to get information on supply chain. So encourage the folks on that and what they should be doing about that.
Well, and you mentioned it at the beginning. There is no greater credibility than being interviewed by somebody in the space. This is not advertising. You're not paying for it. It's earned media. It's somebody else using you as an expert. They're telling the world, hey, I trust them. I'm going to use what they have to say in my article, in my interview, whatever that is. So the opportunities right now are endless. And having that, and we talked a lot with the other experts at last year's summit, that trust is probably the foundation of anything anyone can do in terms of content, lead gen, all of the pillars involved. So it's so important to get that PR piece in there because that's such a huge piece of trust.
It's interesting because I find some people, that's all they want to do is the PR and editorial. And I find some people who never do it. They don't even understand. So maybe help the audience understand how it's an integral part of, there's advertising and marketing, and there's certainly nothing wrong with any of that stuff. You should be doing that. That's what all of these consumer products companies do. Absolutely. And they do it really well, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. But talk about how maybe we need to think of it as an integrated piece.
Right. So think of advertising as you're telling the world what you want to tell them about your product or your service. And again, advertising is a huge piece of business. I am not saying don't do that. It's one piece of the marketing piece. You also need to touch people at least 7 times before they buy from you or really listen to you, because it's such a noisy world, because, we're in scroll nation and we're just, there's a Forbes stat that we get, I think it's 10,000 ads a day that we're in front of. So the advertising, yes, you want to do that, but what's going to validate that is the PR piece, is the earned media, is the somebody else telling your potential consumer how great you are.
Okay. So You're going to be at the Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit this year, June 5 through 7 at the Ritz-Carlton on Amelia Island outside of Jacksonville. You're going to be talking about PR and editorial, about how we can do this. And you're going to sit down with the editors of one of the, if not the largest supply chain media company, Supply Chain Brain, and talk to them about how it fits in our world. Have I encapsulated everything?
You have, and I'm really excited to share it. 2024, we talked about this earlier. It's an exciting year. There's so much opportunity, and learning how to do it and putting it into your everyday marketing plan for this year, the sky is the limit for these companies.
Excellent. For more information, go to the Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit.com. And Christina and I will see you at the beach.